Hi everyone, Brodie Myers back here on Library Lawn as we are in an intermission with the march today. I'm joined now by Oklahoma City Councilman James Cooper. Councilor, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
You won election back in April, and you're not only a black man, you're the first openly gay city councilor in Oklahoma City. Talk about that platform that you have.
Well, thank you for having me. My platform was really focused on making neighborhoods better environments for my middle school students. I taught middle school on the south side of Oklahoma City, live on the north side in the historic Paseo neighborhood. And what I had learned was that we needed to make sure that our kids had good sidewalks, good crosswalks, good bike lanes, street lights, crosswalks, all guiding them to basic needs like school, parks with youth centers, grocery stores, just that kind of walkability, bikeability, everyone kind of knows their neighbor's better environment. And that was my platform. And the Paseo had been designed as that sort of district 100 years ago as the first commercial shopping district outside of downtown Oklahoma City. And I thought, well, let's use that as a model for how we should invest in all neighborhoods, regardless of zip codes.
Sure. And what part of Oklahoma City do you represent?
Yeah, so I represent the northwest side of Oklahoma City, from Northwest 23rd Street to Northwest 122nd. And then we're bound by I-235 to the east, and then Meridian and May Avenue and Lake Hefner take turns as the western border. But your people are going to know it much more by what's in there.
Sure.
The Paseo, Uptown 23rd, the historic LGBT 39th Street District, the Asian District, Windsor District, Old Downtown Britain, Penn Square Mall. Not to brag, but I think we have one of the best wards in maybe the state.
Sure. And what do the demographics of that ward look like?
We are a microcosm in Ward 2 in terms of demographics of all of Oklahoma City. As I just said, we have the historic Asian District, which has a very large Vietnamese population, many of them whom came over here as refugees, and they have built businesses, they have their kids in school, they have made an investment in that area. You'll see that. You'll see a very thriving LGBT community. See a lot of black folk. You'll see a lot of Hispanic, Latinx folk, indigenous folk. Like I said, we're kind of a microcosm of the whole city.
You and Nikki Nice are the only two black people on the city council, and I imagine that's probably more than most cities like Oklahoma City have. What do you guys try to enact in this time, especially of civil unrest and racial justice?
So, this is the first time in Oklahoma City's history where we've had two black or biracial council people serving at once. And I'm the first black or biracial council person outside of Ward 7 where historically black representation has occurred. So think about the diverse majority white district that elected me. To me, that suggests growth and where we're moving forward. What Nikki and I have been up to together, and with Councilwoman Jo Beth Hammond, who won the same night I did, who's one of the youngest to ever serve, only our 11th woman, really we've tried to enact policies building off of our MAPS 4 last year, where we said let's invest in these neighborhoods in the urban core that have traditionally been left behind, create these better environments for our kiddos. In doing so, you find if you create a good neighborhood for someone who's 8 to 80, those two ages, you capture everyone in the middle. So during this time, we passed a resolution that I authored with lawyers for our city, looking at 6 community policing initiatives. We have to study those, and that might mean alternative approaches to how we deal with homelessness when it comes to the police, expanding our homeless outreach team that we have with the police. It could mean we're looking at a study where we would have, for instance, maybe trained mental health professionals and social workers. The 911 dispatcher responds. It's a mental health crisis call. They're trained to recognize it. They send out the mental health professional or the social worker, making sure that all of our officers have access to mental health services for themselves, because they're at a higher risk for PTSD, anxiety, depression because of the trauma they're experiencing every day out on the streets, making sure they have 24/7 access to care for themselves, making sure they're all trained in mental health crisis awareness as well. Doing stuff like that, a violence interruption program where you would have, building off of programs across the country that have been successful, where you have ex-felons, former gang members, they're the ones interrupting the violence by intervening, by having these conversations with troubled youth, keeping them from following down similar paths. So finding where those programs have been successful around the country or the globe and implementing those together here. It's an all hands on deck moment. It's the neighborhood improvement, it's thinking about community policing, and it's about education. It's all of these things together and access to good quality mental health services.
Do you see the need for reform in the OKCPD, and if so, how?
So the resolution I just authored and that we passed unanimously, all 8 council people, Mayor Holt, that was the result of working with council members, Oklahoma City Police Chief Gorley, City Manager Craig Freeman, and listening to a lot of the people in my ward who said we need 21st century best practices when it comes to public safety in the 21st century. Let me give you an example. 1989, 7 years after I was born, the people of Oklahoma City passed a dedicated sales tax for police. What our research told us were best practices in 1989 when I was 7 is different than what we know to be true in 2020. So yeah, I think we're looking at those through those proposals. And so far, the police chief and the city manager are interested in seeing what this study brings back. So far so good, open minds, and we'll see what happens.
Counselor, thank you for the time.